All right, so this is the lecture for part 2 of module 2, and here we're looking at the Supreme Court decision-making process. This is going to be a really important section. The information in here we're going to refer back to throughout the rest of the 6-week session, and I really want you to use what I'm about to cover in your analysis of the Supreme Court decisions, and in thinking about and discussing each issue that we cover. All right. So the first section here, and again this is the reading by the same name. We'll come back to the charts here in a second, but let's just jump ahead to the role of law and legal methods. There's a nice description of each one, but you can also look at the table 1.1, which is on page 25, and that gives you a list of each one with an example. As you read any Supreme Court case, look for these methods. Try to identify the arguments and how they fit, how they match up with these specific examples of legal methods. Okay, and so this is question 8 in your how to brief a case. So you look at your template, and question 8 says, how did the majority reach its decision? What was its legal reasoning? You should be able to match everything that you find to one of these categories of legal reasoning. Okay, so let me say that again. When you're answering question 8, look for the legal reasoning, and it should match up with one of these examples. Okay. Let's look now at table 1.1. And I started here. I said you want to know this well because we are going to be using it quite a bit. The reading gives you, more detailed explanations of each category here. Textualism is probably the most straightforward, easiest to understand. This is when a justice is going to go to the text. Let's just see what the words say, and we're going to base our interpretation on the text. Originalists like this the best. They say, our job is to interpret the Constitution. We do that by looking at what the Constitution says. Let's not look outside of the text, if possible. Two of the more difficult ones students have struggled with in the past are original intent and original meaning. Now they're both fairly easy to understand, but it's easy to get them mixed up. Well, when is it original intent and when is it original meaning? For original meaning, you can associate this with textualism. In textualism, you're trying to look at the words and say, well, what do those words mean? For original meaning, you're trying to understand, what do these words mean, but what did they mean to those who wrote them? And so for the Constitution, we're looking at the framers of the Constitution. When they used this term, when they used this phrase, what did that phrase mean to them at that time? Now the way that differs from original intent is with original intent you're looking at the purpose of that provision, that clause in general. So you're not trying to define what does this word mean necessarily. Instead you're saying, well, what did they mean to do with this clause? What was its purpose? And so the example for original intent, the framers would have been shocked by the notion of a state interfering with the ability of people to choose whom they please to govern them. Okay, or the framers would have been shocked by the notion of the U.S. Supreme Court interfering with the decision of the people of Arkansas to limit the terms of their representatives and senators. So these are two, opposing arguments, but they're both appealing to original intent. As you answer question 8 in your case briefs, you can say the majority makes an original intent argument, and then you give that argument. The majority makes a textual argument. Here's the textual argument. All right, stare decisis